Hello YouTube and welcome. So this is my 100th video for my channel. So for that I thought I'd do something different, more or less to celebrate this number. So I thought to take all my unglued cards and show you to you. Since this set is really crazy and really fun, I thought maybe this is a good way to celebrate my 100th video. So I put all my cards in order. So I'm going to start with this one, Charm School. When Charm School comes into play, choose a color and balance Charm School on your head. Prevent all damage to you of the chosen color. If Charm School fails off your head, sacrifice Charm School. So, just for this card, you can imagine what we can expect for the rest of the cards. Next, we have Double Leap. Choose another player, gain 5 life, now and an additional 5 life at the beginning of your next game with that player. Next one, Knight of the Hokey Pokey. Has first strike. Do the Hokey Pokey, stand up, wiggle your butt, raise your hands above your head and shake them wildly as you rotate 360 degrees. Prevent all damage to Knight of the Hokey Pokey from any one source. So again, a nice example of the crazy stuff these cards tell you to do. With this crazy picture, we have Look at Me, I am DCY. Ban one card other than the basic land for the remainder of the match. For the remainder of the match, each player removes from the game all copies of that card in play or in any graveyard, hand, library or sideboard. This one, Lexivore. If Lexivore damage any player, destroy target card in play other than Lexivore, which the most lines of the text in this text box. If more than one card has the most lines of the text, you may choose which of those cards to destroy. Funny. So, this one, Mesa Chicken. Stand up, flap your arms, chuck like a chicken. Mesa Chicken gains fly until the end of the turn. So, you must understand how imaginative this was at the time. Crazy stuff. Next one, Prismatic Wardrobe. Destroy target card that does not share a color with clothing worn by his controller. You cannot choose an artifact or a land card. So this one, Miss Demeanor, is a flying in first strike. During each other player's turn, completed that player of his or her game plays or sacrifice Miss Demeanor. Sex Appeal. Prevent up to 3 damage total to any number of creatures and or players. If there are more players in the room of your opposite sex, prevent up to 3 additional damage total to any number of creatures and or players. Funny one. Now the blue ones. Bureaucracy. Pursuant to subsection 3.1 of Richer Rules of Order, during the upkeep of each participant of this game of the Magic the Gathering trading card game, hereafter known as player, that player performs all actions in a sequence of previous adding actions wherever known as action queue. In order those actions were added, then adds another action to the end of the action queue. All actions must be simple physical or verbal actions that player can perform while sitting in the chair, without jeopardizing the health and security of said player. If any player does not perform all prosthetic actions of the correct order, sacrifice bureaucracy, and said player discards his or her completed cards in hand, hereafter known as hand. So, really crazy. One more. Here, class Ambassadors. If claimed Ambassadors damage any player, choose an artifact, creature or land you control. That player gains control of that artifact, creature or land. Clam I am. Whenever you roll a 3 on a 6-sided die, you may reroll that die. So, this is almost a normal one. Clam section. When clam section comes into play, choose a word. During your on-keep, sing at least 6 words of the song, one of which must be the chosen word, or sacrifice clam section. You cannot repeat the song. Crazy. So, this one, common courtesy. Counter any spell unless you caster ask your permission to play that spell. If you refuse permission, sacrifice common courtesy and counter the spell. So, you should ask first. Denied. Play it denied only as any opponent casts target spell. Name a card, then look at all cards in that player's hand. If the named card is in the player's hand, counter target spell. Double take. Choose another player, draw 2 cards now, and draw an additional 2 cards at the beginning of the next game with that player. Foul play. Enchanted creature lose all abilities and it's a 1/1 creature that counts as a chicken. Crazy. Very funny. Free for all. When free from all comes into play, set aside all creatures in play face down. During each player on keep, that player choose a creature card at random from those set aside, and in this way, and puts that creature into play under his or her control. If free for all leaves play, put each creature still set aside this way into owner's graveyard. Now the black cards. So we have that head. Put that head into play. Use this ability only if any opponent loses contact with his or her hand of cards, and only if that head is in your graveyard. So double cross. Choose another player, look at that player's hand and choose one of those cards other than the basic land. He or she discards that card. At the beginning of the next game with the player, look at the player's hand and choose one of those cards other than a basic land. He or she discards that card. Here we have Jumbo Imp. So flying. When you play Jumbo Imp, roll a 6-sided die. Jumbo Imp comes into play with a number of 1/1 counter on it equal to the die roll. During your unkeep, roll a 6-sided die and put on Jumbo Imp a number of 1/1 counters equal to the dice roll. At the end of your turn, roll a 6-sided die and remove from Jumbo Imp a number of 1/1 counters equal to the die roll. Organ Harvest. You and your teammates may sacrifice any number of creatures. For each creature sacrificed of this way, add 2 swamps to the mana pool. Funny name, this one. Poltergeist is a flying. Whenever a creature is put in any graveyard from play, you may roll a 6-sided die. On a 1, sacrifice Poltergeist, otherwise put a +1/+1 counter on Poltergeist. Ooh, scary. Here we have Temp of the Damned. When you play Temp of the Damned, roll a 6-sided die. Temp of the Damned comes into play with a number of funky counters and on it equal to the die roll. During your upkeep, remove a funky counter from Temp of Damned or sacrifice Temp of the Damned. Volrath Motion Sensor. When Volrath Motion Sensor comes into play, choose target hand controller by an opponent and change player balance Volrath Motion Sensor on the back of that hand. If Volrath Motion Sensor falls off his hand, sacrifice Volrath Motion Sensor and that player loses 3 life. So once again, a more physical ability to the players to do. Now starting with the red ones, and this one is the only one I have that is a side. So this is Burning Cinder Fury of Crimson Chaos Fire. Whenever any player taps a card, that player gives control of that card to an opponent at the end of the turn. If a player does not tap any non-land cards during his or her turn, Burning Cinder Fury of Crimson Chaos Fire deals 3 damage to that player at the end of the turn. Here we have Chicken Egg. During your upkeep, roll a 6-sided die. On a 6, sacrifice Chicken Egg and put a giant chicken token into play. Treat this token as a 4/4 red creature that counts as a chicken. Double Deal. Choose another player. Double Deal deals 3 damage to that player now and deals an additional 3 damage to that player at the beginning of the next game with that player. Goblin Bookie. So with a mountain and tap, reflip any coin and reroll any die. Crazy. Goblin Bowling Team. Whenever Goblin Bowling Team damage any creature or player, roll a 6-sided die. Goblin Bowling Team deals to that creature or player additional damage equal to the die roll. Hurlon Wrangler. Denim Walk. If defender player is wearing any clothing made by denim, this creature is unblockable. Crazy. Talking about crazy, here is Crazy Cow. During your upkeep, roll a 6-sided die. On a 1, sacrifice Crazy Cow, and it deals 3 damage to each creature and player. So this is crazy. Land field. Choose a land type. Remove from play all lands of that type that you control. Drop those cards, one at a time, into the playing area from the higher of at least 1 foot. Destroy each card in play that is completely covered by those cards. Then return to play, tap it, all lands, drop it in this way. Should be nice in a Magic the Gathering game. A player do this during a game, fantastic. Here we have Ricochet. Whenever any spell targets a single player, each player rolls a 6-sided die. That spell is redirected to the player or players which the lowest die roll. If 2 or more players tie for the lowest die roll, they re-roll until there is no tie. Now start it with the blue. Oh no, this is a special one. So the name of the card starts aside, and this is crazy. So this card's name is the Ultimate Nightmare of Wizard of the Coast Customer Service. Can you believe this? They actually do a card with this kind of name. The Ultimate Nightmare of Wizards of the Coast Customer Service deals X damage to each of Y target creatures and Z target players. Monday to Friday, 9 AM to 8 PM Pacific 206 624 0933. Crazy card. And now started with the green ones. Double play. Choose another player, search a library for a basic land, and put that card into play. At the beginning of the next game, with that player, search your library for additional basic lands and put that land into play. In both cases, shuffle your library afterward. What about this one? Elvish Impersonators. Great image, this one. So, when you play Elvish Impersonators, roll two 6-sided dice, one after the other. Elvish Impersonators come into play with a power equal to the first die roll and toughness equal to the second. Flock of the Rabbit Sheep. So now it's sheep. Flip X coin. An opponent calls heads or tails. For each flip you win, put a rabbit sheep counter into play. Treat those tokens as a 2/2 green creatures. That counts as sheeps. So in this set we can get, I don't know, cows, sheeps, chickens. Ooh, impressive. Free-ranged chicken. For a mana and a forest, roll two 6-sided dice. If both player die rolls are the same, free-ranged chicken gets a +X until the end of the turn, where X is the number rolled for each die. Otherwise, if the total rolled is equal to the other total you have rolled this turn for free-range chicken, sacrifice it. For example, if you roll 2 3s, free-range chicken gets +3/+3. If you roll a total of 6 free-range chicken later in that turn, sacrifice it. So, here's a chicken. Now, gerrymandering. Remove all lands from play and shuffle them together. Randomly Deal each player one land card for each land he or she had before. Each player puts those lands into play under his or her control, untapped. Guzman Ogress. When Guzman Ogress comes into play, the player who has won the most Magic games that day gains control of it. If more than one player has won the same number of games, you retain control of Guzman Ogress. Grove Spur. So this one, roll a 6-sided die, target creature gets plus X until the end of the turn, where X is equal to the die roll. More to love, friendly, nature-loving, Bonioneski, Sam 6, Seth looking for a huge commitment. Just the flavor card. Guz. Guz come into play with 1+1/+1 counter on it, and each game you have lost to your opponent since you last won Magic game against him or her. So you should get a record of all games you do with your friends. Hungry Heifer. During your upkeep, remove a counter from any card you control or sacrifice Angry Heifer. Moo. So, this count is really satisfied. Great meal. Mine. Almost like Gollum from the Lords of the Rings. So, this one. When mine comes into play, each player puts his or her library into his or her hands. Each player skips his or her discard phase and does not lose as a result of being unable to draw a card. Each player cannot play more than one spell each turn. If mine leaves play, each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into or her library. Crazy stuff. Oh, now we have the squirrels. So, Squirrel Farm for a mana and a forest. Choose a card in your hand covering the artist's name. Reveal the card to target player. If that player cannot name the artist, reveal the artist's name and put the squirrel token into play. Treat that token as a plus 1/1 green creature. Funny. So, Team Spirit. All creatures controlled by target player and his or her teammates gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn. So, lots of animals in here. Really nice image. Now starts with the artifacts. We have in here Ashnod's Coupon. So if you tap it, sacrifice Ashnod's Coupon, target player gets your target drink. Errata. You play any cost for the drink. So you buy the other player a drink, so funny. And this one, what can we say about this one? This is not the original one, but is a blacker lotus, not a black lotus. So if you tap it, tear blacker lotus into pieces, add 4 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. Remove the pieces from the game afterwards. So this is a good way to ruin a card and get some mana. Here, bronze calendar, and this is not bad. Your spells cost one mana less to play, as long as you speak in a voice other than your normal voice. If you speak in your normal voice, sacrifice bronze calendar. Oh, really funny! Chaos confetti. By the image, we already can guess what we have to do with this one. So for 4 mana tap, tear chaos confetti into pieces, throw the pieces onto the playing area from a distance of at least 5 feet. Destroy each card in play that the pieces touches. Remove the pieces from the game afterwards. So the player does not ruin this card, but you have to destroy all the cards in game where a piece of these cards falls in. Crazy. Clay Pigeon is a flying. For 1 mana, throw Clay Pigeon into the air at least 2 feet above your head while seated. Attempt to catch it with one hand. If you catch Clay Pigeon, prevent all damage to you from any one source and return Clay Pigeon to play. Tap it. Otherwise, sacrifice it. What to say about this one? Here we have a giant fan. So for 2 mana tap, move target counter from the card to another. If the second card rules text refers to any type of counters, the moved counters becomes one of those counters. Otherwise, it becomes a +1/+1 counter. Crazy. Here we have Jester's Sombrero, and I don't know if you remember, but this was the image of the booster packs for this Unglued set, was exactly this image. So let's see what this do. Sorry. So for 2 mana tap, sacrifice Jester's Sombrero, look through target player's sideboard and remove any 3 of those cards from it from the remainder of the game. This one is one of my favorite pictures. Paper Tiger. Really nice one. So, rogue lobsters cannot attack or block. And so we have here exactly the rogue lobster. So, scissors lizards cannot attack or block. Here we have scissors lizard. Paper tiger cannot attack or block. So, if you noticed, these 3 cards blocks on another. So this is simply the hand game, very very popular. So paper rock scissors, and each other just blocks the other one. So this one is very funny. I should say this set is very very funny, and these 3 cards are crazy. So paper rock scissors, if you know the game, you will know what happened. Now we have Urza's contact lenses. Urza's contact lenses come into play, tap it, and it is not untap during his control untap phase. All players play with their hands face up. Clap your hands twice, tap or untap Urza's contact lenses. Should be fun. All players put the cards facing up. Now we have the terrains. I have a one set, complete set of the cards. So this is the full art of the time. Fantastic. If I remember, these boosters, these Unglued boosters, sell a lot, mostly because of these lands. This is very beautiful lands. So here we have the plains. Here we have the island. Here we have the swamp. The mountain. And finally we have the forest. To end, I have just two counters of this set. So this one is the Pegasus, really a nice image, and a goblin. So this was what I have to show to you, trying to celebrate my 100th video, doing something different. I'm just going to get the jester sombrero, just because it's the main image of this set. So this is what I have to share with you. I hope you enjoy it, you like it. So, and if you are interested, subscribe to the channel. I have a lot more to show to you. Until then, see you.